Fam, what's up? Kyle Henderson, Bama football on YouTube. Call line is open. 205-850-1994. Listen, Jalen Milroe has let the naysayers know. I don't care about, the haters out there that were on this young man. And if you're still doubting Jalen Milroe, call in and tell us why. I want to hear from you. I want to get those calls and get your take on Jalen Milroe and what he can't do. Because every single week he continues to prove everybody wrong. Plain and simple, Jalen Milroe is the most dangerous player in college football, okay? Look, what he did against LSU, I think set the tone for the rest of college football. And everybody now knows that if Jalen Milroe uses his legs like we all knew he could coming into the season, that Alabama is not going to lose another game, period. They're not going to. I think it's been by design, to be honest. Let me walk you through the stats about Jalen Milroe real quick, and then I'll tell you kind of my take on this, because I feel that Jalen Milroe, this was all kind of by design, and it was Saban's plan, to be honest. So let's look at the numbers real quick, and then I'm going to tell you what I was thinking about yesterday, because, look, Jalen Milroe could have basically taken over from the get-go, but I think Coach Saban wanted a complete team, a complete offense. So let's look at the stats real quick for Jalen Milroe through this season, and here are his totals thus far, okay? So let me zoom this in, make this full screen. On the season, 114 for 176 passing. He has 5 interceptions. He has 13 touchdowns. Percentage 64.8, 1,800 yards passing the football. As you can see in this last game against LSU, was 15 of 23. Against Tennessee, he was 14 of 21. Before that, 10 of 21 against Arkansas. Okay. When you look at the statistics, you're like, okay, well, what are we really, what is he really bringing to the table in terms of, those aren't some overall outstanding numbers. However, the thing that's so dangerous about him is his combined improvement passing the football and his ability to run. I just saw a statistic that Jalen Milroe was clocked at 20 miles per hour against LSU. So what I was thinking about is I think this has all been by design, to be honest. And I think one of the things about Jalen Milroe is Coach Saban knew that he could clearly do this. But now that he's let Jalen Milroe take over a game, and I think that he's developed more identity with Tommy Rees, there's not going to be a team in college football that is able to deal with Jalen Milroe and what he presents this season for the rest of the season. I think, honestly, that he's too dangerous. I think he's too electric. I think that he has momentum. And with this improved offensive line, I don't think there's going to be another team in college football that touches Alabama. Honestly, I really don't. I was thinking about it last night. I mean, Alabama, if you want to get some money right now, I think Alabama's sitting at plus 800 to win the college football national title. If they get into the playoffs, this team, nobody wants to face this team. And I get it. There's Bama fatigue and all that stuff. Outside of this, you don't want to face Jalen Milroe. You don't. Look at what he did against LSU. I get it. People, were missing from LSU's team or whatever. He has the ability to take over a game. He has the ability to change the momentum of the game. Jalen Milroe is that guy. I think Urban Meyer said yesterday that he's, Percy Harvin and Reggie Bush combined into one. I guess that's an okay analogy. I think he's something completely different. I mean, this guy is 6'2", 230 pounds. He's always believed in himself. This team has believed in him. He is the guy that can certainly take Alabama to where they want to go. There's a lot of people that didn't think he could do that at the beginning of the season. He has proved all those people wrong, and he continues to get better and better every single week. His deep ball's been there. His intermediate passing is improving, but honestly, it's just the playmaking ability. I'll say this right now. I don't think that Alabama is going to lose another game this season. If they get into the college football playoffs, they are going to win the national title. There's a lot of people. I put up a YouTube video, a couple weeks ago before the Tennessee game, when people thought that Tennessee was going to come in here and take what Alabama's. And I was like, listen, just wait. They believe in this team. They have a mindset. They have an understanding of what's going to go through these next couple of games. And that has been it. This team is transformed. That's why I think when you look at the college football playoff rankings and kind of where things sit, the teams as of today, Bama's a 1,000,000% a top 4 team. They're playing like a top 4 team. And I think going into this game against Kentucky, it's going to provide them another opportunity to put 4 quarters of play together and show the naysayers once again that this is a complete team. This is a team that has an electric defense, and the offense, you just don't want to deal with them because of Jalen Milroe, plain and simple. Now, there's other components on that offense that have done a great job. Jaden Roberts has been a guy who has really emerged. We did a video yesterday on him. Caden Proctor, he's done a great job. Coach Saban said that the offensive line continues to improve. What about, those bad snaps that we saw? They've improved. Caden Proctor, he's improved, right? J.C. Latham, he's been steady. The wide receivers have been doing their thing. Isaiah Bond, Kendrick Law, we've been seeing more of him. Jace has done a good job. Roydell has done a good job. Those are power runners north and south. Jam Miller, we've seen an emergence of him. So I think when you look to this team overall, this is a complete team. You want to talk special teams? Yeah. Will Riker missed 2 field goals against LSU, but everybody knows that he is Superman. You're telling me that you don't have confidence anymore in Will Riker? That's wrong. James Burnap, he's almost averaging 50 yards per punt. You talk about flipping the field and having confidence in your defense to play a field position game. Alabama can do that too. So when I look to the landscape of college football, there's a lot of parity this year. Alabama is peaking at the right time. There's some games this weekend going on that should pretty much favor the top 8. Once again, I think the one that we're kind of keeping an eye on is Michigan going to Penn State, and that's going to be a highly contested game. Michigan is favored by just 4 in that game, and all eyes kind of on the Wolverines as that is their first game that they're really playing in this coming season. That is a big boy type game. I think that Alabama's schedule of strength speaks volumes. Ole Miss, Tennessee, LSU, Texas, on the road against Texas A&M. Those were difficult games. Good thing for Alabama is that most of the difficult games were at home at home at Bryant-Denny Stadium. But other than that, this team has shown that they can win on the road. And if they can put together another 4 quarters of play, it's going to do a great deal of I think what I'm saying is the seating committee will have an opportunity to see this team. And let me pull up this graphic real quick because this is an interesting point going into this weekend. So that's kind of my opening monologue on Jalen Milroe. But okay, so I'm later today, and stay tuned because I've been working on this video all this morning. It's about the seating committee and who the guys are, and there's a lady on the committee as well by the name of Kelly Whiteside. She spent 14 years, as the national college football writer in the USA Today. But I'm basically going to break down the entire roster and explain where these people are from the seating committee. And the reason I do bring that up is because Mitch Barnhart, you'll see him labeled here with the asterisk. He is the athletic director of Kentucky. Right, there's only one committee member within the 12 people, whatever, that are from the SEC, and Mitch Barnhart represents the SEC. The Big 12 has 2, really 3 reps. The ACC has 2 reps, including the chair, who is Bo Corrigan. But other than that, the SEC has 1 rep. And that is Mitch Barnhart. Now, Mitch Barnhart has already seen Georgia play this year, and he'll get a front row seat to see the Alabama Crimson Tide peaking at the right time. That's why it's so important for Alabama to put together another 4 quarters of play. Mitch Barnhart is going to be able to go back to that committee and say, look, I saw this rising Alabama team firsthand. I didn't see them on TV. I saw them come through, and I saw them come through Lexington. So a lot is riding on this game. This is a bigger game than you think because of that fact. Honestly, Mitch Barnhart is taking notes 1,000,000% going back to the committee and giving feedback on the Alabama Crimson Tide. How did Jalen Milroe play? Is this a complete team from the ground game, the offensive line? Have they really improved? What did you see from the defense? Because now he can compare a Georgia team to an Alabama team, right? You start to look at some of these other components in the seating committee and who those guys have matched up with and who they've seen. It still is a stinky process. I don't like it one bit. The committee, there's some people on there. I just don't really understand it at all. Why are these people on it? Look, and the thing about it, I will say this, the committee members for the most part have really good resumes in terms of like who these people are and what they have accomplished. They have master's degrees. Some have a doctorate degree. These are really smart people, but like, how are they connected to college football? I'm going to bring that up and kind of poke at it a little bit and run through the roster. For example, like, let me bring you up Rod West. Okay, this guy, who knows? Maybe this guy could be a high level politician or something like that. But he's the group president for a utility company, and he's like he's the operational and finance performer of Entergy's 5 operating companies. That's a guy who is deciding the fate of the college football teams. He doesn't have an alliance to any of the teams, but he's on there, okay? How about Jim Grobe? He's the former coach at Wake Forest and at Baylor, and he's affiliated with the ACC. Like, what? Chent Gladchuk, he's the athletic director at Navy. He's on as well. Like, what? I just don't understand kind of the correlation. Will Shields, I'm sure he's a great player, or was a great player for Nebraska. He's affiliated with the Big Ten. He's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2015. But what are these people, how are these people deciding the college football playoff rankings? And really, Alabama and Michigan and Ohio State, all these people together, these are the people who are designing who gets into the playoffs. How about this one? Okay, and my whole video is going to be later on, but I just have to tell you, because I was digging into the numbers all this morning. Joe Taylor, okay? Look, this guy's resume is amazing, honestly. He's the former Virginia Union head football coach, okay? The former Virginia Union what? Okay, he's which is a HBCU school in Richmond, Virginia. Okay, his record as a head coach when he was there is great. 232 and 96. I get it. The overall schematics, this guy can do it. But like he's not even an FBS coach. Why is he in there, right? And what games is he going to? Okay, so the playoff committee, I could go on and on and on, and I'm going to have a video kind of in length that talks about that, but I wanted to open up talking about Jalen Milroe, and here are the items that I'd like to talk about today. Kentucky up next. Quick hit on the injury report. You have Austin Hanna, who works for Sports Illustrated, Alabama. He said yesterday that Ja'Cory Brooks, Deontay Lawson, and Jalen Key will be out for this weekend's game against Kentucky. He's had a couple scoops this year before, and Coach Saban didn't really provide a positive injury update on those guys. Not a negative one for like they're going to miss the remainder of the season, just this coming weekend. So Ja'Cory Brooks, as you know, he's been a spot player, special teams wide receiver. Deontay Lawson, that's the big one at the inside linebacker. He's a signal caller, but you have Jahad Campbell and Tresman Marshall stepping up, and then Jalen Key looks like he'll be out as well. So that's kind of when you look to the safeties at Alabama, what are they going to do? And I figure that they'll do what they did when Key went out. So you slide in, Christian Story, put Trey or put Terry on at the start. Is that what they did? Or did they move Malachi to the safety and put in Terry on at the star, and then they put Trey Amos at corner? I think that's what they did. Anyways, that's kind of the injury report going into this game. Otherwise, Alabama has been really healthy. Keys to the game, get your take on that. In my opinion, the keys to the game are play a complete 4 quarters of football. What does that entail? I think that it entails coming up with a couple big plays in the beginning of the game, establishing a really strong running game. I think the defense has to play heavy. Leary, the quarterback from Kentucky, who missed, I think, the second half against Mississippi State he got something in his eye or something like that. He's going to be 100% healthy for this game. And I think, Alabama, will have to deal with a really good running back from Kentucky as well, who ripped off like a 200-yard performance this year. So Kentucky can run the football. But again, overall, it's been tough for anybody to move the football against Alabama. Talked about Mitch Barnhart. Again, 8 consecutive quarters from Alabama. That's why we want to see that. I want to get your take on why Alabama wins this game. Don't let it be a trap game. Alabama has to 100% put 4 quarters together to be able to beat this Kentucky team. Kentucky, they've in their favorable games this season, they took care of business. But against Missouri, against Georgia, against Tennessee, they got blown out by Georgia. But against Missouri and Tennessee, they played them pretty tight. This is a good coaching staff, and Coach Saban has a lot of respect for these guys. And a road game's difficult. 11 a.m., Justin Abogbe said they got to wake up at 7 a.m. I know, big deal. But it's you're playing on the road. Playing on the road is hard. Reporting on the road is hard. Being on the road is hard. We know that. Alabama's next 3 games, you know what that includes. Kentucky, the next week, Chattanooga, and then Auburn have to play complete in those games. This is an elimination game every single way. Get your take on Bama versus Texas now. Let's do it, Mike and Austin. What's up, man? I appreciate you joining us. Good morning.
Good morning, Kyle. Thanks for having me. Hey, I just like to say that if Alabama played Oregon, Alabama would show up and play some joyless murder ball, and they would crush Oregon. Mm-hmm. That's what I would think. I don't think Oregon would be able to handle the physicality of what Alabama can bring, nor Georgia. So the committee, honestly, with Oregon's strength of schedule, which is like number 70 or something like that, mm-hmm. Alabama and Texas both in the top 10 strength of schedule. Having Oregon ranked above both Alabama and Texas, mm-hmm. that's a travesty of college football, in my opinion. I lose all faith in the committee. Mm-hmm. And so, but from this point, kind of like I was mentioning, some teams got to fall out. And they probably will. Some teams in the top 4, top 5 got to start falling out. And they probably will. So, but it just scares me the love that they have for Oregon for mm-hmm. no reason.
Yeah.
Doing what? Beating Colorado. They turned out to be just mediocre bad.
Yeah.
And then, other than that, why they beat Washington? Well, Washington has no defense either. Yep. But yeah, so I'm really losing. I think the committee gets together, has too many martinis, and slap each other on the butt and tell each other how smart they are, mm-hmm. and they don't know what they're doing. That's just my opinion. But hey, as far as Jalen Milroe goes, right, there's no doubt Jalen Milroe has become an excellent quarterback. I think he's in the top 10 now in QBR in college overall NCAA. He's one of the better quarterbacks. But just real quick, I just like to remind folks of how we got here, how Bama got to where they are. Mm-hmm. Because last year when Jalen Milroe filled in for Bryce Young, he kind of had a rap of being, a good runner. Somebody's going to mm-hmm. be able to run the ball, good scramble a bit, but his throwing ability was very, very suspect. Mm-hmm. And he threw interceptions at the wrong time. I think he had like 3 interceptions and 3 touchdowns in stats last year, something like that. So the rap against him going into the year, coming into this year, mm-hmm. was that the same thing. Mediocre thrower, a good ability with the running with his legs and such, and then what happened? Keep in mind that the going into the year, remember Alabama brought in Tyler Butcher. Why they did that? Did they do that because he didn't have any confidence in Jalen Milroe? Well, maybe. Mm-hmm. Maybe because of the connection that Butcher had at Notre Dame with Tommy Rees. Well, maybe. And people thought Ty Simpson, who I think is an okay quarterback, I don't know, he really hasn't played enough. People thought that he might be the quarterback because of his pedigree and in football. His dad was a coach and all that. And they thought he might see Tyler. But going to the Texas game, keep in mind what happened. Bama was leading in the Texas game. Bama was leading in the fourth quarter. Bama went into the fourth quarter winning that game, with a chance to win that game. And Jalen Milroe was driving down the field, threw an interception on the 10 or 5 yard line. It reinforced what the coaching staff and what fans thought about him was the guy is too interception prone. He's too interception prone. Mm-hmm. Texas got that interception, went downfield, scored, and ended up winning the game. Mm-hmm. So that Texas game made Jalen Milroe look real bad because once again an untimely interception. Overall, the stats I don't think were that bad, and fumbles. So they benched him the following game. And honestly, Kyle, I'm going to have to fess up. And I would say when that Texas game played out, I was texting my bros, texting my friends saying, we got to bench Jalen Milroe. I will confess to that, man. When that Texas game, the way that played out at the end, I was so mad, so frustrated. As with all the Bama fans, I was ready to bench Jalen Milroe. So going in, and I said, we got to see what else we got on the roster. We got to give these other 2 dudes a chance. And lo and behold, that's exactly what the coaching staff did. They gave Tyler Simpson a chance, and they gave Buchner a chance. They failed their chances. They did not do what was right for them. They failed in their chances. So it was back to Milroe. So once, and I think Saban said Milroe has, when Saban appointed him the starting quarterback after the South Florida game, remember, Saban said, this is our starting quarterback. He showed all the leadership skills, being a good teammate. Remember he said that when Tyler Buchner and Simpson come off the field, Milroe would be there, high-five him, wish him well, although Milroe's on the bench. He said he showed all the leadership shows of being a quarterback, so we got to stick with Milroe. So from that point, this coaching staff, Tommy Rees, the quarterback's coach, whoever, the offense, they put all their faith and hope in Milroe and once they appointed him starting quarterback, Milroe's confidence got a lot better. He wasn't looking over his shoulder or whatever. His confidence got a lot better. They had a couple of victories underneath their belt. Although they were close victories, they had victories underneath their belt. So, and key to it, Kyle, the offensive line started getting better. That did not help Milroe early on. The offensive line, I think this past week, Caden Proctor, the left tackle, he won an Offensive Player of the Week award.
Yes.
And that was the weakest spot on the team. So the offensive line is starting to get better at playing together as a unit, which is helping Milroe overall. But from this point where we're at now, I think Milroe has won over the fans. He had to do it the hard way. He had to do it on the field. And he's a good guy. He's a likable guy. He's got a smile on his face. He always says the right. He's a likable guy. That really helps too. But he's won over the fans on the field. He's won these close games. He can throw the ball. Clutch. And that one play in LSU where he was the pocket was closed. This is what showed me that we have a really good quarterback. When the pocket was closing in on him, he didn't have much room to move at all. He just lobbed that ball over to the running back, McClellan, I think it was. McClellan ran for like a 20 or 40-yard gain. That was such a good play right there. Where my heart of hearts as a Bama fan, I'm like, yeah, this dude's going to be able to take us where we want to go because he's really become a better quarterback, really become a better thrower. And the offensive line's getting better. But like I said, I'll be the first to fess up, man. After that Texas game, I think Bama Nation was so heartbroken. I was like, we got to bench Milroe. We got to see what else we got. But I don't know if it's by design or not. I don't think it was by design. But once they gave him the starting job, said, this is your job, and he quit. He ain't got to look over his shoulder. He started getting better and better. And you know how it goes, Kyle. The more you win, the better you get, the more confidence, man. Confidence is everything, especially for a quarterback. So, but that's just a reminder of how we got here. From this point, he's a good quarterback. He's capable. He's a team leader. And P.S., he can run the dang ball too. So that's where we're at, man. That's where we're at now with Milroe, just my opinion.
Yeah, thanks for the call on Milroe, and I completely agree. I mean, the transformation has been great to see, and I think we've seen Tommy Rees get more comfortable as well, and I think that is also a key component. And as those two mesh well, and like I said, if they catch up to that defense, and even where they're at right now, if they continue just to play at this level, nobody else in college football is going to beat this team. So, I know that, right now it's like a plus 800 for Alabama to win the championship. Of course, they have to win these next couple games. But I think, honestly, with what I saw against LSU, I'm in. I mean, this team is going to be too difficult to beat for anybody in college football because of number 4. Right there, plain and simple. And if you think that this team is good or finding their rhythm, just wait till next year. Saban, this has been a great plan by Saban. Right. And then after him, you have Julian Sain. So the quarterbacks are in line. You got all those wide receivers, the dynamic pieces at running back. I love the mindset. I'm sure you guys saw on the YouTube shorts about Jam Miller talking about waiting his time behind Jason Roydell and being he was like, when my time is called, I'll be ready. He's a great running back. I love the mentality of him, the toughness of him. These running backs are tough. Big north and south type running backs. Anything else, Mike, before we move on to my next caller?
No, I totally agree about the running backs. Bama's running game is the heart of the team, in my opinion. But real quick, I think we're going to beat Kentucky, man. I feel good about the Kentucky game. I don't want to rat poison them or nothing. But just last week, Kentucky put up 260 yards against Mississippi State. Kentucky's offense put up 260 yards. They're not going to be able to. They got to do better than that. They're going to plan to beat Alabama. But like I say, I think we're going to beat Kentucky. Probably the Iron Bowl is probably going to be a tougher game. Kentucky, I think. I don't know, but we'll see how it goes. But that's all I got, Kyle. Keep up the good work, man. You take care.
All right, man. Take it easy. Thanks, Mike, for the call. Appreciate it. I think all these games are going to be challenging. I mean, look, the rat poison, of course, is going to fall in the game against Chattanooga, but the 2 road games to end of the season. I mean, that is even on top of the difficult schedule for Alabama going into a tough environment against Kentucky and against Auburn. You're playing your rival at a pivotal time. That game is going to be ultra challenging for Alabama. I don't care what Auburn's record is. We talk about it all the time. The coach is Hugh Freeze. He knows there's a recipe that he's going to go back into from when he was at Ole Miss, and he's going to try to put that together in some aspect. He's beat Saban twice, So I know things are going well. It's going to be challenging regardless. So this schedule for Alabama has been tough. I think if you look it up, Alabama has one of the top 5 hardest schedules in the country. That's why I keep harping on schedule strength. This team is battle tested. The defense has went against, some incredible offensive quarterbacks this year. It's been great to see kind of the emergence of this. I love Coach Saban talking about Kevin Steele. Said, look, he's pretty mild-mannered, but when he yells, people listen. I'm like, I bet.